Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that's going to help you become your best self. And today we're talking about, are you constantly seeking approval from others? Addicted to external validation. But before we get to that, as always, I want to invite you to come say hi to me on Instagram. I am at Sabrina Joy Perozzo. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you in the DMs and just become friends online because that would be so super fantastic. And you can also send me an email to realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com if you prefer email. I am definitely able to be reached over there as well. And I do have my website up and running now. It's sabrinajoy.com, and you're welcome to sign up for my soon-to-come newsletter over there or to submit your name and your email in a question box there, and I can get back to you that way. So many options these days. So again, I would love to hear from you, and I look forward to hearing from you very soon. But let's jump into today's topic, which again is, are you constantly seeking approval from others? So I used to be addicted to approval. Sometimes I still am, to be honest. I worry that the decisions I am making will not be accepted by others. Totally. It's a worry that happens more often than I would hope, really. Kind of sucks. And one of the reasons this topic actually came up for me to speak about to you guys is because something that I said to my husband, and that actually happened, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. I'm kind of losing track of the days this week. But regardless, it was a quick conversation that I was having with my husband. And I was telling him that I would want to be working on getting my coaching business, which if you are not new here, a lot of you have heard about it. But I would want to be getting my coaching business fully up and running if I ended up leaving my full-time job. Because right now I have a full-time job with the company that my husband started with his business partner, and it's great, but I don't have a lot of time to get that going, and I don't make extra time after work and everything else I have to do. It's definitely an excuse. I will be so true on that. But anyway, so I told him that. I was like, that's what I want to do. And that was my intention. And I said, even if you don't think it's important, me talking to my husband, even if you don't think it's important, I'm going to do it. And, me saying this actually sparked him to say, when he said this, I was just like, oh, this is another reason why my husband is so great and helpful. He was like, does it even matter if I think it's important or not? If it's important to you, then just do it. He literally was like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Does it, he was just like, it doesn't really matter either way. He had this facial expression on him of why are you even leaning that on me? Or why are you even making this any sort of responsibility of mine? Really? And I was just like, yeah, I was just blown away. I was like, yeah, you're right. So see, initially when we were in the beginning, before he got to that part of the conversation, I was acting like I was trying to stand up for myself and not seek approval. But I was still seeking approval by, being passive about it. And he got me red-handed. And so talking about that and really ruminating over that over the past day or two has really caused me to be like, wow, this is definitely something that we need to talk about, because I'm sure I'm not the only one, per usual. So seeking other people's approval to do anything in your life is like holding yourself hostage by willingly giving someone else the key. You're like, here you go, take it. I'm handing it over to you right now. You're allowing them to decide whether you are freed or not. You are just giving all responsibility to them, which is kind of as I was portraying my husband. He was like, I don't want this responsibility. You make your own decisions based upon what's important to you, right? And this all sounds very yes, easy, obvious, this is not brain surgery, right? But it's hard for us to really take this in and believe it and understand it, which again, that's why I wanted to talk to you about today. But you are allowing, again, them to decide whether you're free or not. And this is something that happens over and over and over again. It's very cyclical, especially the longer that you are doing it, the longer that you are caught in this behavior. And obviously it's not healthy. obviously. Like, no one is thinking this is healthy, but I also don't think it's something that a lot of us realize is an issue that we need to work on. And I think it's very important that we bring it to light and realize, okay, this is something that we really need to figure out. Because, constantly seeking approval from others, whether it's like making a decision, validating a thought, how you look, discussing the choices that you made or that you are planning on making or that you're going to make, it all revolves around people pleasing and approval seeking behavior, right? And it also demonstrates a lack of confidence in yourself because you are constantly leaning on others to decide for you. And it's not the way that you want to live your life at all. It's you want to be able to just be free and be like, okay, I can make my own decisions. I can do what I want to do. And if you need any help in regards to people like getting over like that people pleasing behavior or even boosting your own personal confidence, the actual 2 episodes right before this one are on people pleasing, and then the one right before that is confidence. So if you would like to learn more about that, I encourage you to go to those episodes back. And I will tell you, I didn't really like plan these episodes this way, just like has rolled out that way, which is beautiful. I'm grateful for that. But yeah, because I feel like if you are dealing with approval seeking, external validation and needing that, and that's like a really big eyesore for you that you were wanting to overcome, you will want to work on people pleasing and you will want to work on boosting your confidence so that you won't engage in these behaviors as much because you trust yourself. You are believe in yourself. You're ready to take on things based upon what you want, how you want to do it, and whatever repercussions or circumstances are included in that. So here are some quick examples on how this could come across in everyday life. If you're like, I don't know, Sabrina, if I am approval seeking or not, I don't really understand what that means. Here are some examples. So the first one is you let other people's opinions dictate your choices. So if you're in the midst of making a choice or a decision, and you're like going back and forth with yourself internally, and you're like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to choose. And you are continually asking people for their input, for their opinion. And this is for every single decision that you try to make in your life. And then you choose one of theirs. You don't ever choose anything that feels truly true to you, real to you. You just let it be handed into someone else and you let them dictate like which way it's going to go. Another example is you struggle to set boundaries with others. Boundaries, something I've been talking about a lot, and I've been alluding to how I need to do another episode on that because it's so important for us to establish those boundaries in our life of things that we are going to do and will let people be a part of, and what we're not, and what is inappropriate and what is unnecessary, because we are fully capable humans to make those decisions, to allow ourselves to be involved in that, and also say when we don't want to, and that's uncomfortable, and that's not really going to work for us. Another example is you bend the truth if you think it won't be positively accepted. I've definitely done this where you're kind of like, you kind of like know, you get a vibe of like what someone would accept and be, open to and what they wouldn't. And so when you're sharing something that you did or that you're planning on doing, a decision that you're in the midst of making, you kind of bend it so it's like they will respond positively to it rather than negatively or unsure, because you want to impress them. You want them to accept you. You want to be approved by them. Another example is you don't do things because you are in fear of other people's responses and opinions. Very classic. That's definitely me. I do struggle to not do things at all because I don't really want those negative responses. I don't want those opinions, good, bad, ugly, in the middle. It just feels very uncomfortable. I want to just have everyone be happy, or I don't want anyone to say anything at all and just kind of not acknowledge that I am doing anything, right? I want to fly under the radar. And that's like kind of how I started my podcast. I just flew under the radar. It's not that I was like ashamed of it or anything like that. I love it. It's just more of like I was avoiding talking to anyone about it. Only my daughter and my husband knew. I just kind of like let it low. and just like let it go until I was feeling confident, until I was like, super sure that like, yeah, I'm going to back this no matter what anyone says. I feel super confident in it. No one's going to tell me otherwise whether I should be doing this or not. So that kind of thing. And then the last example I have for you is you're afraid right before you need to tell someone something important to you. So if you have that fear that's like bubbling up inside and you're like, oh my gosh, I really don't want to tell them. Like for me, it was like kind of in a passive way again, but me being like telling my husband, hey, I want to really get this coaching business going. I want to make it happen. But I did have some trepidation in me of like, oh my gosh, I don't really want to tell him this. I feel like awkward. I feel like, wow, is he going to like talk down to me or say anything negative, which he didn't. And of course he didn't. I don't know why I would go into that train of thought knowing my husband so well. But it happens with a lot of people for me because I'm just like, oh, I don't really want them to say anything. Or sometimes people just don't know what to say, right? When people are going after these careers that aren't like super traditional, which I feel like coaching is one of those things, coaching online. And so, you just have the fear. So those are just some examples. So if you feel like you would cling to one of those or several, or if those didn't really solidify you feeling like you are struggling with needing approval, I would, again, go to Google, look it up, find some more examples and see if that relates to you and anything that would like hit home a little bit more. So on that note of being like, okay, like you're thinking like, yeah, these things kind of resonate with me. I want you to ask yourself why you need approval. Like why? Why do you feel like you need approval? This is something I am like constantly asking myself because when I do get in those moments of like, oh, I feel like I need everyone's validation or I want to hide everything from everyone, it's like, why do I feel like I need that approval? Right? And I want you to honestly ask yourself this question because I am continuously asking you to be honest with yourself. It's the only way that you will know yourself better. It is the only way that you will grow as a person. It is the only way that things are going to work out like the best they can because you're being honest with yourself about what needs to happen, what needs to change, what needs to continue, and really what's going on at that moment for you, right? So ask yourself why you need approval. And if you are unable to come up with an answer, totally fine, no shade, no problem. I got you. Here are some questions that should lead you to an answer. And I have 6 of them. So the first one is, do you find it necessary to be approved by others to be ready to take over something, take on another role? I feel like this question really applies a lot to work or some sort of responsibility that you could have at school or in a volunteer organization or whatever it is, right? So do you feel like you have to constantly have the approval of others so that you're able to like move up the ranks, so that you're able to have that acceptance, and then they will want you to do something else that's higher and continue on, climbing that ladder. So if like ask yourself, like, is that one of the reasons why I'm continuously asking for approval? The second question is, do you find the people you spend time with influencing you to be a certain way? Do you feel like the people that you are hanging out with the most, that you are spending your time with, are these people influencing you to be a certain way that you don't necessarily want to be, but you are because you feel like you have to, you feel like this is the only way, right? Or you feel like you just really want to be a part of this group and so you have to do what they do. Right? It's like monkey see, monkey do kind of thing. I don't mean any disrespect in saying that. It's just kind of like what it is. So ask yourself if you need approval because you find yourself influenced by your current circle. The next question is, were you constantly criticized at some point in your life? And this has led to your need for approval. This would definitely ring true for me. I feel like I was constantly criticized when I was younger as a child. And it really did lead me to wanting approval, needing people to be like, okay, you're doing okay, you're doing all right, you're on the right track, everything's going to be fine, you're not making any great mistakes, we're still going to see you in a positive light, like if you do this, that, and the other, you know what I mean? If you take these certain steps, great, I know what my options are. I will not stray beyond that point. Like ask yourself, if you were, it doesn't have to be in your childhood. It was for me and it carried on. But for you, it could be like a different point in your life. It could be recently, and this is new to you, and you're like, yeah, yes, Sabrina, I am being constantly criticized, and it's really making me feel like I need constant approval. The next question is, do you feel like you have to be a certain way to exist in your life? I feel like this could be really true of if you work in a certain organization, you have to be a certain way to be accepted, to be liked there, to actually be employed there. Or maybe in like a family, like if you're in a family and you have to have constant approval from people that are head of the family. So whether that's your parents or your grandparents or whatever guardians, and you feel like you constantly have to be seeking their approval because if you're not, they will cast you out or they won't care for you as much or they won't respect you or anything like that. Ask yourself if maybe that's the reason. Next question, second to last, is do you fear being rejected? I fear being rejected. This one definitely rings true to me. It's like, yeah, I fear being rejected. I fear people pushing me away and me not understanding why and thinking I'm doing the most, right? I'm doing the most that I can, and I'm not understanding why they're not accepting me. I'm trying to do everything that they want, and it's not working out. Definitely a struggle for me. And the last question to consider is, do you have anxiety and fear that something will go wrong if you decide on your own? So this is really just not trusting yourself to make mistakes and failures and being able to recover from those mistakes and failures. And you fear and you have this bubbling anxiety that whatever decision, whichever way that you turn, it will be wrong. That's how you're feeling. So you have to constantly lean onto someone else for them to approve what you're going to do and the decisions you're going to make so that you don't fall down some crazy path that will not lead you to where you should be, according to probably someone else based upon us talking about needing approval. So just think about those questions, consider them. Check down in the show notes if you were like, oh, Sabrina went through those questions too fast. They're all listed there for you to review and think about if you want. And I want to also make it clear that by seeking someone else's approval, you are not also seeking their respect. You're not. And I feel like it can be confusing. You think that you are respecting someone because you are doing the most. You're like going out of your way to do what you think would be best for them. If you were only seeking their respect, though, there would be boundaries in place of what you would or would not do, and you would still abide by your own thoughts, feelings, opinions, decisions, all of those things. Those things would still be in place. These are like the pillars that you stand behind in your life and in everything. So seeking approval pushes you over the edge because you'll do just about anything to be accepted and thought highly of. So if you think, no, Sabrina, I'm just doing this to gain respect, you're not, though, because if you don't have boundaries that you are abiding by and that you are enforcing on a regular basis, you are not. You have fallen over to the side of approval, of needing approval. And, I wouldn't feel shame about that. Like I said many times, I struggle with that. There's many other people that do struggle with that. We're not alone. We're absolutely not alone, which makes it a lot easier to understand that we're all in this together and that we can all work together to figure it out, slowly, work on it, overcome it, become overcomers, be strong. Because we're always in a continuous journey to become our best selves. Again, there is no glass ceiling that you're going to hit. You're going to continue on the journey of becoming your best selves until you leave this earth and go to heaven. That's what's going to happen. It's you're not going to be like 80 years old and be like, I have become the best I can become. Like there's no possible way. We go through too many different seasons of life where things change and evolve and new struggles come up and problems that there's no possible way that we could just ultimately become our best selves. No, we're still moving and grooving as time goes on until our time here is over. That was a rant, but it was an important one. It's also important to note that by spending all our attention on being accepted, which means we're also trying to be liked, we lose who we truly are. And I've talked about this before where I have lost who I am many times. I'm still finding it. I was talking to my therapist about it today. I'm like, oh man, I have so much of having like a good job, like molded and sewn into my self-worth, that because I don't really know who I am, and I put all of like having a job into that self-worth, and I need to realize that that's not all I am, right? And so by focusing so hard on being accepted and being liked, we will truly lose who we are. We end up like abandoning ourselves because we are trying so hard to be something else for someone else. And it's all for nothing. I'm telling you, it's all for nothing because you're not really doing anything that's going to benefit you directly. You're just kind of like pretending because you're not truly being you. And this doesn't mean we can't ever seek someone's opinion. We can. It's necessary a lot of times, especially in critical moments or something that's going to greatly affect many people other than ourselves. But we don't need to live and die by their approval. That's not how we should be. It should definitely be held for like specific times where it's like, okay, this is what we need to do. Let's bring in the people. Let's have a discussion. Okay, great. Decision is made. But it doesn't need to happen all the time at all whatsoever. There needs to be a boundary there. There needs to be like a decision process on your own of being like, yes, I do need this person's opinion for this, but I don't need it for all of these other things. So today, we have come to the part where we talk about tips. Today, I want to share with you some tips on how to overcome approval-seeking behavior because if you haven't already gotten it yet, constantly seeking external validation will not make life better or easier. Actually, I don't think I've mentioned that yet. So that's important. It will not make your life better or easier, but actually harder, more difficult, because there will always be a new challenge for you to live up to with others rather than leaning on your own decisions and desires. Has anyone else known, before I get into the list, which is only 5 tips deep, that a lot of times when I come on here and I talk to you guys, I love alliteration. And sometimes it's not direct alliteration, like when I say like decisions and desires. And I don't do it on purpose. It just flows out of me. But I like it. And like alliteration is when you have like a string of words together and they all start with like the same letter. I love it. I don't know. It just sounds fun. It just like flows within me. So anyway, yes, so it will become harder. It will not become easier. It might become easier because you've learned how to be this pretend person, but then it still gets harder because, again, new challenges will come. So here are 5 tips to help you overcome approval-seeking behavior. The first one is be honest with yourself. I laugh because it's a theme. Like, tell me how many times, like in the last, I don't know, month of episodes that one of my tips is be honest with yourself. I am really driving that home. Be honest with yourself. Please, I beg of you. By being honest with yourself when you are wanting to seek someone else's approval, this would cause you to be like, hey, am I doing this for myself? Right? Like, do I really need their approval? And also being honest with yourself, like when someone like asks you to do something and you are doing it because you would like their approval, you're like, okay, well, is this for me? Is this something that I want? Is this really going to benefit me? Do I have any reservations about like not wanting to do it? Be honest with yourself and realize that those feelings that are like kind of pushing back on this thing that you feel like you have to do, they're there for a reason. They're trying to caution you and trying to like wake you up and be like, hey, we don't want to do that. Let's not be miserable today. Let's take a break from that. So just be honest with yourself about how you're feeling, what you want, what you need, and what's best for you, because everyone else is doing it. So if everyone else is doing it, this is like the one time that I would say, yeah, let's do it. Let's take care of ourselves. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's do what's best for ourselves, please. Number 2, embrace failures and mistakes. Yes, that's not a new tip either. It's important because when you're constantly seeking approval, You are trying to avoid having any failures or making any mistakes because you think that by seeking someone else's approval that they will be able to cast out that possibility, or the secret answer of if someone else makes the decision for you and you get their approval for whatever it is you want to do and it does result in a failure or a mistake, you are not the only person to blame. You can blame them, which you shouldn't. And that's not appropriate because still at the end of the day, you decided to do what they told you to do, right? It's still on you. It's still on you. And if we just make the decision, which we should because it benefits our whole entire life, not just this part, to embrace failures and mistakes, it will be so much better. It will be so good because then we'll understand, like something that I always say, I'm a broken record. Mistakes and failures are one of the best learning lessons. They teach us what didn't work and what did work and what direction we should go in next and how we can keep going and not give up and become stronger and live through to tell the tale, right? You'll glean all of the experience you got from these experiences. You'll glean all the experience you got from these moments that you've gone through, and then you will move on. You will not look back. You will not dwell on the past, but you will move on because it is it's in your best interest to do so. Also, they're just learning lessons. They're not the end of the world. They're not the end of the world. Even if someone else tries to make it seem like it's the end of the world, it's not. It's not the end of the world. You can continue and move on, move forward. Think about everyone in history that's gone through so many setbacks and problems and issues and mistakes and failures, but they didn't give up. They didn't give up. So embrace them. Welcome them. Hey, I'm open for business. Let's go. It'll be okay. Number 3, accept. Accept that rejection is a normal part of life. It is. It happens to everyone. And you may not think it happens to everyone because not everyone is shouting it from the rooftops on social media that they're going through rejection, right? The important thing to remember about rejection is that you can't please everyone. You cannot. I've tried. If you are a people pleaser and you struggle with that behavior, I do, then you know that you will try to please everyone, but you'll know deep down in your heart of hearts and in that trueness that you know, that's honest with yourself, that you cannot. It's impossible. There's always something that doesn't go right. So you can't please everyone, so you at least please yourself, right? At least do what you can to love yourself and take care of yourself and realize that people are going to reject you. And it's really just a reflection on them, what they're going through, what they don't like, what they don't accept. Sometimes you can glean some feedback from it, like if someone's willing to give it to you, why they rejected you, great, awesome. But I would just move on from it. Try to just continue to be your best, maybe reflect on like any sort of encounter that you feel uncomfortable with, and that's maybe why you were rejected, but I would not dwell on it. I would just reflect really quick and be like, is that an issue? And then move on. Like, you're just going to get rejected. You are. And it's a normal part of life. It makes you stronger. It helps you to become more resilient, which is so super important because we're going to go through struggle after pain, after problem, and we're going to need to continue to overcome and push through so that we can achieve our goals and become our best selves every single day and win every day. Win. Number 4, release negative self-beliefs. This was interesting. When I was really thinking about this episode and like thinking about like what are really good tips that you wouldn't just like randomly see online, even though, please, if you find that these aren't good enough, go Google. It's super helpful because something might just like jump at you and connect with you even more than what I'm talking about today. But when I was thinking about it, I was like, it needs to be like tips that are really good and really help you become more insightful for like your emotions and managing those, everything to do with like emotional intelligence and understanding yourself better and like resetting your mindset and again, resilience because it's important. And I was like, you need to release negative self-beliefs because it ties back into you not trusting yourself and lacking confidence in yourself because you have these negative self-beliefs that are just swimming around in your head and telling you what you can and what you can't do. And you need to tell yourself, oh, no, I can make these decisions on my own. Even though I have made some, not great decisions in the past, I can make better decisions now. Those times have taught me a lot. I have learned a lot. I am stronger for it. And you need to tell yourself that. You need to believe in that. You need to know that that is true. And if you continue to beat yourself down with saying all these negative things and disparaging things about yourself that you would never say to your best friend, or probably a lot of people that you would know out loud with your mouth, you say it to yourself in your mind so that you feel like you can get away with it because no one else hears it, but you shouldn't, you should not. So release those negative beliefs, believe in yourself, understand that not everyone has a perfect life despite how they may be portraying it online. You are just like everyone else in the way that we all have ups and downs, scrapes and bumps, struggles and problems that we're all trying to get through. And by you continually crushing yourself negatively in your mind, that's not going to help you become more resilient and bounce back to do things better and stronger in the best way you can. So release the negative beliefs. It'll help you to have more confidence in yourself. You'll be able to feel like you need to have approval from other people so often. It'll continue to dwindle down over time. This is not an overnight cure. Nothing is. And help you become stronger and love yourself more, embrace who you are more, and you'll be more confident to not need other people's approval. Okay, number 5, the last one. Start trusting yourself with small decisions. So you do all these things. You're like, okay, Spring, I'm doing all these things. What now? This is the part where you become active, where you do something that will help you propel yourself forward to start practicing, to no longer be seeking so much approval and having to go down over time. Start trusting yourself with small decisions. So a decision that would come up that you would normally feel like you really need approval, from. And if it's a small one, maybe what should I wear to this event, right? Don't ask anyone. Really, stop yourself. And if you're about to, be like, no, I'm going to decide this. And even if that means you have to get online and look up a Pinterest board of okay, what kind of shoes am I supposed to wear with this dress? Or what kind of necklace goes with this neckline? I've been there before, I don't know. And ask. And not ask, ask yourself and be like, okay, well, this looks good. I think it'll be fine. And just go with it. Because the worst that's going to happen is someone's going to be like, oh, well, maybe this time you should do that. You take that as feedback, especially if it's presented nicely. And you're like, okay, great, I'll know for next time, right? Because the likelihood of you showing up super inappropriate in something is probably pretty low because you're already super worried in your mind that it's not going to be good enough, but you're going to try even harder to do your best, and it's going to be fine. So start trusting yourself with little decisions, small decisions that you need to make, and then you can gradually grow up to trusting yourself with bigger decisions and bigger and bigger and bigger until you are just okay, I do not constantly need someone else's approval. I can just make decisions on my own. I can think with my own free mind. I can be okay with making mistakes and failures, and I can just understand that some people might reject what I have decided to do, but that's on them. That's not on me. And I feel good about it. That's what I want you to feel. I want you to feel good about it at the end, and it's going to be amazing. So, but that's it. That's the end of the list. That's the end of everything I have to share with you in regards to letting go of approval-seeking behaviors, and not needing and not being addicted to that external validation. So thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast, again with me, Sabrina. I appreciate you all being here, listening, downloading, and sharing the show. Again, please come say hi to me on Instagram or send me an email or visit the website. I'd love to hear from you. All the details for that is in the show notes below, and I hope it's helpful. So again, thank you for listening and sharing. You guys are amazing. And until next time, have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.